Ahoy hoy! Welcome to my video on conducting market research. This video is a sibling video, if you will, to my video on knowledge of the marketplace. In knowledge of the marketplace, you learned about existing similar products, evaluating the competition, identifying users and buyers, the market itself, and justification. You also found out you're creating a preliminary document that is the beginnings of that technical report associated with any and all justification, whether that be academic and ethical or based on the market. This assignment, conducting market research, is a sibling to knowledge of the marketplace because it is all about you creating the surveys that you need to create or conducting the interviews that you need to conduct. When we look this one over, we find that there are 4 major ways that you can go about designing the market research plan. You can utilize personal observations, informational interviews, surveys, focus groups, and all of those lead to the end result of having some type of market research plan. So these 2 assignments, knowledge of the marketplace and conducting market research, go hand in hand with each other. They are very much so concurrent. All right, let's start at the beginning. Before you decide to develop a product to solve a perceived problem, it's advisable to perform direct market research. Have you looked that word up yet? Here it is. Direct market research can help you determine whether your perception of the problem is accurate. If consumers don't think or feel that your problem is usable or worth the cost, then the design effort that you put into this isn't justified. The needs and wants of the consumers and your end users should be evaluated before you invest a significant amount of time or money into any development of a new product or the process that you go through. Any data gathered firsthand from direct observation or feedback gathered verbally or in some written form directly from those consumers or end users can give you some very valuable information. It might help you estimate the potential market of your solution. For this assignment, your team is going to design a market research plan. You're going to collect data about the problem that you intend to solve directly from potential consumers. As you begin to devise potential solutions to the problem, which you're doing concurrently now, it may be smart to perform additional market research to justify specific solution paths. Your resources are easy. Look, it's the 2 things that you always need: an engineering notebook and then some sort of device connected to the internet. And then just like with knowledge of the marketplace, you need justifying a project resource. Same 3 presentations you saw in the previous video. If you haven't looked them all over, you definitely should. We did break down a couple of them for you, and I left justifying a problem, knowledge of the marketplace, 15 slides for you to look at on your own. Procedure. You're going to plan and perform direct market research to help define and justify that problem. Then you're going to analyze the results of all of the research that you've collected to determine the consumer and user wants and needs. This assignment is all or nothing, and as you know, that means you're going to be required to submit any and all of the information that you have to me by that specified due date. But I want you to think of the due date as a check-in date. In other words, you're going to have the due date, and then following that date is a check-in date. On that date, the day after the due date, you, me, and your team will all sit down and go through the work that you have ready to turn in. If it's good work, we move on and you get your points. Otherwise, another check-in might be warranted. You still have multiple days after the due date to be able to finish up any of the surveys or any of the further observations that you need to conduct. You still have time to finalize your market research and your plan. No matter what your method or methods are, you should seek information that is directly related to your problem statement, which by this point, I hope you've already put into place. It should lead you to being able to answer the following questions. What do you need to know to design and develop a solution to your chosen problem? That's your team's chosen problem, by the way. What's the need or want in your problem statement that's causing a problem? What's the root of your problem? What customers will be interested or served by a solution to the problem? Who does your problem impact And more importantly, who does your solution impact? Is the assumed target market correct? Is it smaller? Is it bigger? As you do this market research, you may find that as you survey people, you get more of a sense of how big that market actually is. That could help you determine how important your solution might be. Do products exist that already serve as a solution? Well, of course they probably do. But what we hope is that you can innovate beyond those. And if they don't exist, you're creating an invention. A lot of this work you've already put into place and are already taken care of. So this is very much so concurrent with the other assignments going on in elements A, B, and C, pretty much all of component 1. What competitors affect your solution options? Who are your other competitors? How do those competitors have a hold on the market? Do they have some sort of copyright or patent? Or will you be infringing on ideas that they already have rights to? Do any of those competitors have a solution that works that you can build upon? Are there competitors out there that you haven't found yet? Who are your competitors? What solution characteristics and features are most important? This probably comes from a lot of those prior solutions. That's where I would start at least. And then I'd start thinking about what are the characteristics of my solution, and then why are they those characteristics? Why are they important? Probably also a good idea to be able to list those importance in order. How much would people actually pay for my solution? This means you're going to have to do more than just research. You're going to have to think about how much would it cost to buy the raw materials, process them, build with them, transport them. You won't be able to knock all of this out, but we need to see that you have a plan in place. And then in the end, is the problem definition adequate, or is the problem broader or narrower than what I originally thought that the problem statement should indicate? Depending on the data necessary, you may use one or more of the methods described below to meet your market research objectives. To obtain data that is directly applicable to your project justification, conduct some market research with people who can provide useful information. In other words, if you plan to design a method of ankle support for athletes, attempt to limit your administration to athletes and sports medicine professionals. Feedback from a secondary senior citizen would provide little usable information in this case. Look for opportunities where you can reach large number of people who will be users or consumers of your product. Let's get into personal observation. This will put you in a position where you can learn more by watching what others do and how they do it. You can also observe processes. If you're observing people, you will obtain better results when you are minimally involved or hidden. Even our own administrators at our school come in and observe how we, their product, are performing and how you are interacting with their product. That's why they're called observations. If you plan to observe participants in their natural setting, describe the behaviors that you'll be looking for. If you create a scenario and ask participants to perform some specific task in that scenario, describe the setting, the materials, and instructions you'll provide, and make a list of specific behaviors you're going to look for. You're literally creating a scenario, a testing environment for them, or you're going out into the real world and seeing how they interact with either your product or similar products. Then, of course, there's informational interviews. You may want to have a structured interview, or you may choose to interview people more casually. Structured interviews can provide more thoughtful answers if they're structured well. They can, however, result in respondents feeling the pressure to answer in ways that they think you want to hear. A more casual interview can provide candid, but sometimes less thoughtful answers. In a structured interview, you can create a situation where you can pull more information out of the interviewee. And in a casual setting, they might be very upfront and not really think about the problem or the solution. They may just simply provide their very candid response. And let me tell you, people be candid. All right, Mr. Davidson, what do you think of the color red? Oh, the color red is so horrible. I don't like the color red at all. It's the worst color ever. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, our product was going to be colored red. completely red. I don't like the color red at all. Well, that is a shame. Is there a reason that you don't like the color red? Yeah, I told you, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Candid responses. They're not very thoughtful. But if you can structure it in such a way that you provide the person being interviewed a path that they can take, sometimes this is best done if you also provide for them some sort of document that can walk them through the types of questions that you're going to ask. Then they can think about what it is they're going to respond with and not be so candid, but rather be invested in the interview itself. Surveys. They're generally the best way to obtain responses from a large amount of people. You can deliver and retrieve surveys in person or by phone or using the internet or by snail mail. Probably the best way to do this would be through some sort of Google form. And I would say that the only other way would be in person, but virtually, probably over Zoom at this point. However, if you're watching this in the future, it might be that you go conduct some sort of survey at the same time you're conducting an interview. Focus groups. Oh, look, a hyperlink. Demographically diverse group of people assembled to participate in a guided discussion about a particular product before it is launched, or to provide ongoing feedback on a political campaign, television series, etc. Bet you didn't think I was going to read that one to you, did you? So focus groups bring together a small group of people who have been identified as potential buyers or users of a product. Usually there's a facilitator that leads the group discussion and keeps them focused, though it's usually best to find participants that the group leader who's leading the discussion doesn't actually know. Designing the market research plan. You might decide one method or a combination of methods is best used for gathering the information that you need. I want you to make a written plan for administering your market research that will result in the collection of useful data for validating your problem. Like I said earlier, this is much like the concurrent assignment, conducting market research. And this will be a draft of information included in your project proposal. Remember, these two assignments go hand in hand with each other, and a lot of the information that you could be gathering could be coming from some of the other assignments as well. Consider this to be something that you type into a Google Doc or some other source that you can share easily. You should also make sure that this is included in your proposals at a later time. Your plan should identify the research tools that you'll need to be able to conduct the research necessary. It should also identify the type of respondents that you're targeting. It should tell us how the research is going to be administered, where, the mode of the administering, how you're collecting and gathering the data, and then of course, when you're going to conduct the actual research. Keep in mind, the day after the due date of this assignment, you, me, and the rest of your team all together will review the plan that you have in place, your research tools that you'll be using, the surveys, the interview questions, so forth, and your expected results. In other words, what you think you'll get. And we're going to do this by going through the information that your team submits. Your team should submit some link to the information and then be prepared to look it over with me. This particular assignment is only worth 40 points. You can submit through a text entry box if you want to, if that's where you're going to write up your plan. A website URL, so you've got some sort of Google Doc or some link that you want to provide for me. Or you have some other file that you want to provide. Maybe this is all embedded somewhere on a website that you're creating. It's possible. Well, that brings us to the end of this assignment. Remember, it's concurrent with knowledge of the marketplace. It dives deeper into the research that you need to do to actually conduct that market research. One is about knowing the market. The other is about capturing information from that market. I wish you the best of luck. Remember to always reach out to me if you need to. But most importantly, have a great night.